Hello and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. I have two special topics for you guys. The first one is about lynching and the second one is about elderly population of our country. We are going to go through both of them in detail, but before that, let me tell you that I have got many important news items as well for you guys. And let's crack on with our first topic, that is about curb lynching. Now, lynching across India is a big issue, and of course it is a big threat for our society as far as our social fabric is concerned. You know, this sort of incidents of lynching, mob violence and lynching, it creates a panic and fear in our society. It divides different communities living peacefully in our society and creates this sense of hate and fear and this sort of things. And it takes ages for us to get rid of this sort of stereotype and prejudices and other things that are detrimental for our society. We know that the main slogan or tagline for our country or our society is unity in diversity. This is the thing that is one of the most important, you can say, baseline or tagline for our society, and this is something that we need to uphold at whatever cost. You know, whatever we have to do for it to make sure that everyone in our country is living peacefully, living free from fear and things like that. But sadly, unfortunately, what we find is that even today, this 2015 Dadri lynching case, right, its progress as far as this charge sheet is concerned, still, right, charges are not framed yet. This is a very you can say it indicates lethargy, lack of political will, as well as it also indicates this lethargy of bureaucracy. Alva case of Rajasthan, on 17th July 2018, Supreme Court came out with this guideline. Supreme Court was very upset, naturally, because of this rising cases of lynching reported from various different parts of our country. So Supreme Court came out with a set of guidelines, and even after that we saw this Alva case that took place in Rajasthan. So this is a big red flag for all of us. Now, Supreme Court back in July 2018, on 17th July, Supreme Court warned 19 states, and you know, the best thing that we can do, a suggestion that we should work on, is that home ministers and home secretaries particularly, they should be made responsible if this sort of cases are reported in any state, because Supreme Court has already directed, you know, it has given preventive, remedial as well as punitive measures to curb this sort of incident. Supreme Court has specifically said that we need to have one designated district level officer who will look after this sort of mob violences or cases pertaining to mob violence. A police officer should be made responsible. He should be made in charge of all this mob violence or lynching sort of cases, and if it is required, if they understand that a particular region in that particular district requires extra patrolling, if that particular region is sensitive in terms of this sort of lynching and mob violence, then extra patrolling, and we need more gears and more boots on the ground, so that this presence of administration is felt by all these miscreant elements. At the same time, if just in case if there is any sort of incident, then lodging of FIR should be quick. It should be, you know, police should work, or they should behave in more sensitive way. But what we saw last time was that police people, they had a stop, you know, when they were carrying this victim. They had a stop for some tea or some breakfast or something, and it was the victim passed away. The time when they reached hospital, it was declared that he is brought dead. So this sort of insensitivity is, of course, not at all acceptable. It is their duty to protect us, and they should fulfill their duties. The other thing is Supreme Court also prescribed awareness campaigns, fast tracking of cases, and imposing maximum penalties for lynching cases. Supreme Court has also got it right that all these cases of lynching, right, they are basically failure of law and order mechanism, and local administration is responsible for maintaining law and order. We cannot expect, you know, every time that President of India, Vice President or Prime Minister to take this sole responsibility. We have this division of work and local administration. It is their duty, it is their job. to make sure that this sort of cases or this sort of things do not take place at grassroots level. A new law, many people suggest that we need altogether new law, but new law is not going to help us, right? Things on books or strategies, they don't manifest into reality if we are not implementing the things that we already have. So implementation is the key. We already have many laws to control mob and other things. And the worst thing is that recently, when a group of minister, it was updated, or a report was passed by senior bureaucrats on this thing, on this lynching and other cases, or this mob violence. It is very strange that senior bureaucrats, they said, or they passed this whole buck or responsibility on social media. Remember, we talked about this issue. I started the discussion with this postman, and I told you that what if postman will read all our letters, and postman will decide what should be delivered to us and what will not be delivered to us. And of course, this is not a proper idea, isn't it? In the same way, when we are saying that social media is the main responsible party as far as this lynching is concerned, then we are still missing the main target. The main target is our law and order mechanism, how we can improve it, how we can curb, how we can send this sense of fear in the minds and hearts of all these miscreants and this sort of nefarious elements or groups, right? This should be our main target. Our target should be to create this sense of confidence in all those people, right, who are victim of all this, or their community or communities who are victim of this sort of cases. We should create a sense of confidence in them, that administration is standing there behind them to support them and to protect them, of course. One more thing that I would like to add here before concluding this discussion is that it's not that a particular party is supporting it, or it's not that only X party or states that are ruled by X party, only in those states we find this thing. We have observed, or we have examples like a lynching of a lady in Tamil Nadu, lynching of two gentlemen in Assam. So it's not limited to any particular region or any particular political party, and it's a tribal thing. Our main focus should be unity in diversity, our national ethos. These are the things that we need to follow, and we need to update and upgrade our law and order mechanism, and how we are delivering services. These are the things that should be our topic of discussion. With this, dear friends, I have a good news for you guys, that up to 50% discount is available on our pen drive and tablet courses, and this is going to last till 23rd September. So make the most out of it. All details available on StudyIQ.com. I have already shared the PDF of today's lecture on my FB page and Twitter handle, just in case if you have any question, queries, or anything, right? You can get in touch with me from these platforms. Now let's go through some news items, and then we will talk about second topic of the day. So news item, the first item that we get is that Prime Minister Narendra Modi with his counterpart Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, Chief Minister of West Bengal and Tripura, together these four leaders, with the help of video conference, jointly inaugurated 3 projects in Bangladesh. This includes a 500 megawatt additional power supply from India to Bangladesh, then Akhora Agartala rail link, and rehabilitation of Kulaura Sahbaspur section of Bangladesh railways. So it's a good news as far as this neighborhood first policy is concerned, and connectivity is something that we are definitely working on. We want to execute this BBIN project, that is Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal road connectivity or motor vehicle agreement. Bay of Bengal initiative is also promoting connectivity between each other states, and of course Bangladesh and Bhutan, Bangladesh and India are part of BIMSTEC as well. We are part of SAARC as well. So, and as you know, India's neighborhood policy gives too much weightage on neighborhood first, so that's in this context, if you see, then this is a big thing. Now, we have talked about federal structure, where you have central government and state government or governments together. They work with each other, and that's how it should be. GST Council is a very good example of a cooperative federal structure. And this case of Bangladesh and India's relationship, what we find here is that West Bengal Chief Minister, or West Bengal as a state, played a very important role, a pivotal role in increasing the share of or supply of electricity from India to Bangladesh, and this indicates that various different states, they do work, or generally speaking, we can say that our country is working in a very cooperative federal structure, particularly when it comes to international relationships. So this has been highlighted by Prime Minister when he was addressing the people, all these leaders and all people who were watching this video conference. Prime Minister thanked this leadership of West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. At the same time, he also thanked Chief Minister Viplav Kumar of Tripura to play a very important role in this rail connectivity project. Dear friends, we were talking about petrol prices, remember, and we were talking about its impact and ripple effect and everything. We have talked about rupee fall and rise and everything yesterday. So very briefly, we have a small yet important update coming from Andhra Pradesh, and there has been a reduction of 2 rupee on petrol as well as diesel, because as you know that petrol and diesel or fuel, they don't fall under the purview of GST. Even today we find that central government is having VAT on, that is central VAT, that is value added tax on petrol and diesel, as well as you have state governments VAT on petrol and diesel. So Andhra Pradesh government has decided that they are going to chop off 2 rupee on petrol and 2 rupee on diesel. So total 4 rupee per litre reduction on petrol and diesel altogether, and this will cost a shortage of 1,120 crore rupees that the state of Andhra Pradesh receives as a form of revenue. But it's not going to be that bad, because when prices of this petrol and diesel will come down, its ripple effect will be that more saving will be there, more money in the pockets of consumers, and then they will naturally spend this money for buying various different things. Inflation will be under control as well, and all these things will add up to, means more consumption will lead to more GST. So it will be a sort of equalizer thing. So it's a good move by Andhra Pradesh, and yesterday Rajasthan took a similar step. It also slashed the VAT on petrol and diesel. Now on your screen, or you can say on our skies, we find these 2 planes flying together. One is definitely a fighter jet, and the other one is a big plane, and you can see here a sort of a pipe that is connecting these 2 planes. So what it is all about, it is a good news that the Defense Ministry has got for us, and a very important update as well. We are aware about this light combat aircraft. Let me put it this way: indigenously developed light combat aircraft called Tejas, and we have achieved this thing, that Tejas. Now we will be able to do this mid-air refueling. Mid-air refueling means this Tejas, just in case if it requires extra fuel, so on air without landing, it can be recharged, or this top-up can be done. And this will add more capabilities, or it will add extra hours, flying hours, and this is very important in terms of defense. From defense perspective, it is a very important thing. So keep this thing in mind, just in case. Many times they find you find this type of questions in your prelims examination, that consider Tejas and its capabilities and observe the below given statements. So Tejas is an indigenously developed aircraft. Yes, it is refueling, mid-air refueling facility, or it has this capability of mid-air refueling. So remember, the answer is yes. Small yet important update. One more small yet important update, and it's not just about a small update, but I have got an important thing for you guys, and I would like to draw your attention at this thing, that we have a scheme called Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi scheme. It is about medicine, providing medicine at quality medicine at affordable prices, particularly to poor and disadvantaged sections of our society. Now, it was launched back in 2015, and just imagine if you find this question in your prelims examination or as an MCQ, that which ministry looks after this Jan Aushadhi Yojana, and if you find option like health ministry, then as far as I know, most of the students, they will go with this health ministry, because common sense tells us that medicine is something that is associated with health ministry, but the reality is that it is implemented by Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers. So keep this thing in mind. Very important thing that I'm highlighting here, because you find this sort of questions. Like there was a question on who releases this GDP reports, right? GDP updates, or these figures are released by which ministry? And you'll find Finance Ministry and Commerce Ministry. So both these options are wrong. It is this Ministry of Statistics that comes out, or Central Statistics Office that comes out with GDP reports. So don't fall in this sort of trap, right? Pay attention to all these details, and of course don't worry too much about it, because I am here for you guys. If I find anything like this, I will of course share it with you guys, so that you achieve as many marks as possible. Now we have 3,600 Jan Aushadhi stores, or basically medical stores, 3,600 this scheme related medical stores in our country. And good thing is that in Maharashtra alone you have 259 such stores, and 1,100 items are catered in this 360 stores in our country. Sanitary pads as well are sold in this stores, and over there you get it for 2 rupee 50 paisa per pad. So this is a big thing for poor ladies, as well as it is a big thing. It will revolutionize, healthcare and health sector in our country, and in fact it is revolutionizing this health sector in our country. Total 74.61 crore rupees this year are earmarked for this scheme. Moving on to another item, dear friends, on your screen you can see a gentleman. His name is Bharat Ratna Pandit Gobind Ballabh Pant. His birthday is celebrated today across the country, 10th September, and it is his 131st birth anniversary. And on this day, President of India remembered Mr. Pant and Bharat Ratna Pant, and he said that he played a very pivotal role in laying foundations of nation during the freedom movement. Vice President said that he worked for downtrodden and poor sections of our society, and the Prime Minister appreciated and cherished his selfless dedication for the nation. He was Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh as well. Just in case if you are from UP, then you should be familiar with this name. Now let's talk about our second topic, and it is about growing elderly population in India. Now look at the statement here. The share of elderly people in India living alone or only with a spouse increased from 9%. It was 9% in 1992. In 2006 it clocked 19%. Since 1991, the number of households has grown faster than the population, and nuclear families are something that are in majority in our country today. 70% of households in our country are nuclear in nature. Now we have on one side good medical facilities. Earlier on, that some diseases, they used to kill or take away lives of elderly people, but now you can deal with them with simple affordable medicine. So this is adding more life years in elderly people's life, which is of course a good thing, but at the same time their population is increasing as well. Today we are young, but in future hopefully we will reach this age as well, and from now on it should be a sort of a matter of concern for us that we start working on this thing in future. The way things are going on at present, socio-economic changes are taking place. People are migrating from one place to another. Like I'll give you one example, that most of the time what we find nowadays is that people are not just migrating to next town, they are migrating across the states and countries. And as far as this 2017 economic survey is concerned, 90 lakh people on an average migrated every year, either for work or for education between 2011 to 2016. So if you multiply this 90 lakh into 5 years, we reach to what, 4 crore 50 lakh people migrated from one place to another. This has been said in economic survey 2017. So when generally speaking youngsters, they migrate, it's difficult for them, of course from economic point of view, to rent a big house and to look after, to take his or her whole family with him or her to a city area. But once they are settled down, then they have their own way of life. They will have kids and things like that, so they will be busy with their lives. And what happens is that their parents are living back home, and later on we find that once a couple ages, they feel a bit lonely and things like that. They feel a bit insecure, and this sort of feelings are increasing in our country, which is a matter of shame as well as concern too, because elderly people, they are the ones who have contributed. Where we are here because of our elderly people. They voted for right leaders. They voted for, they paid their taxes. They have worked and created all those resources and things that we can utilize, and it is our responsibility, because we are going to reach at the same age, and the way socio-economic conditions are changing. People are earlier on, marriage age was somewhere between 21 to 25, but now it has changed. It is somewhere in late 30s and late 20s, 27 to 30 or 27 to 32. This is a normal marriage age, generally speaking. That's what I have observed, and that's what you find in many different surveys as well. So the way things are changing, a time will come where maximum population of our country will be of elderly people. At that point of time, we would need more hospitals, more these care homes, all these things. Infrastructure should be designed in such a way that that mobility of elderly people is looked after. So all these things, we cannot do everything in 1 year or 2 years. We have to start planning for that thing from now on. And urban living is predominantly nuclear nowadays. You see, only 8.3% families that you find in urban setup, they are joint families. The rest of them, nearly 92%, are nuclear families. And the share of adult children who said that they're caring for their elderly parents, suppose that duty fell from 91%. It was 91 in 1984, some 34 years ago. But now, or back in 2001, it was 51%. And today it is even less than that. So government came out with this law back in 2007, Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act, under which it is a legal obligation of children to look after their elderly people. And in 2018, it was revised to increase this jail term for negligent children, and safety and security was also added under the purview of this 2018's revised act of this Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act. Now, this will, of course, this law will provide a sort of, you can say, a solace or a support as far as legal side is concerned. But social side is something that the government cannot do, right? It is a society, it is us who have to understand this thing. And isolation and loneliness and depression and, all these things are part and parcel of growing old. So it is this time where we have to look after our grandparents or parents, and this is something that we have to understand, because, as I told you, right, when we will reach 2050, I beg your pardon, nearly 20%. You can see here that one in every 5 people will be above the age of 60. So 20%, and most of us will be somewhere here, right, 60 or nearby that age. So it is time for us to look after our parents now and create this culture of this Indianness, you can say, this joint family thing. I'm not saying that everyone should live in joint family only, but at least we can have one more way. There is a nuclear family, and then you have this joint family. In between, you have this moderate sort of thing where even though you are living in nuclear family and your parents or grandparents are living somewhere because of various different reasons, at least people can meet each other once a week or something. This is the best thing. This will, this has worked as well for many families, and it will work for many future families too. So it's a totally sociology or society based topic, but you find this type of topics in your essay as well as your GS. With this, Pradhan Mantri or Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced a significant increase in remuneration of ASHA and Anganwadi workers. We are talking about ASHA workers and their contribution in this maternal, looking after this maternal care, and their salary has been increased from 3,000 to 4,500. All those getting 2,200 will get 3,500 now. Honorarium for Anganwadi helpers for has also been increased from 1500 to 2250 rupees. With this, Prime Minister also said that this ASHA workers, they play a very important role, you know, in reducing this maternal mortality or neonatal mortality, and free insurance will be provided under this Pradhan Mantri Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana. Free insurance will be provided to all ASHA workers. Then you have this common application software which will monitor performance of Anganwadi workers, and based on that they will get incentive ranging from 250 to 500 rupees. And we have this Poshan Abhiyan. The name itself indicates that it is about reduction of, it is fighting against this malnutrition and malnourishment in our country. And ASHA workers, Anganwadi workers, they play a very important role in this successful implementation of this Poshan Abhiyan. With this, dear friends, the country celebrated 125th anniversary of Swami Vivekananda's historic Chicago speech, and on this occasion Prime Minister has called upon youngsters to build a new India, taking inspiration from Swami Vivekananda's life. He also said that this philosophy of Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat is essence of Swami Vivekananda's address in this Chicago speech. Last yet important item. By the end of this 5-year term of this Narendra Modi government or NDA government, the country will clock 2 lakh kilometer road construction. This is a big achievement. You know, the ripple effect of connectivity. So that's a good news, and that's everything in today's discussion, dear friends. Thank you very much. Please make sure you share this lecture with other students. I'll see you all soon. Enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.